Hello class! We've got a special lesson for you today. We're going to be looking at Transformers Prime Arcee, part of the first edition. So again, they're the figures that you find at Toys R Us. You'll find a few of these, a few Starscreams, probably no Cliff Jumpers anymore, at least at the time of this filming, and a whole assload of Bumblebees, like a whole hive of them. So we got the packaging here. We can see Arcee there, held in with those cute little environmentally friendly strap doodads instead of the plasticky wire things. We can see her arm blades are there, which are freaking huge. And there on the back, we can see a picture of Arcee in her robot mode, which reminds me of someone else, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. So it's the first edition. It's 002. I believe Bumblebee was 001. I don't remember what Optimus Prime was, and I don't remember what Starscream was, because I don't care. But they do seem to be numbered in some way. On the back of the packaging, we can see some of the other Autobots, minus Wheeljack. I guess that makes sense because he wasn't around at the time when this first aired. And Cliff Jumper's there, and that's the only pose they have for him. It's probably the only promotional picture they have of Cliff Jumper because he gets killed so early. Oh no, I spoiled it. Anyways, on the back here, we can see Arcee's vehicle mode. I can zoom in a little bit. Also, we have her robot mode up here, which is nice. We got some other figures you can get from this set. So we got Bumblebee and Starscream. And you have to take my word on it, but it's an intermediate level 2 figure, which I guess is what all the deluxes are. Which we'll see how interesting her transformation sequence is. But I believe that is our in-package look at Arcee. What we're going to do is I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to go get a beverage. It might contain alcohol. It might not. I won't even tell you what time of the day it is. And then we will show you, up close and personal, Transformers Prime Arcee. Back in a second. All right. We're back. We are still looking, at Transformers Prime First Edition Arcee. I went and I had my beverage, and yes, it did have alcohol, and how, which is excellent. And we're going to keep looking at this, which I'm hoping doesn't impair my ability to transform it too much. Here we can see we've got a motorcycle, which is awesome. It goes back and forth. However, if we go too fast and we let go, it'll fall down because it's on 2 wheels instead of 4. Which is, kind of what motorcycles do, a little bit. Except, actually, you can rest it on the blades. The blades are kind of nice, because they do kind of cover up some of the robot bits in the motorcycle form. I think maybe that's why we have them put on here. But we'll look at that a little bit more as we transform the figure. So, the motorcycle is pretty good. It's more or less what we'd expect from a motorcycle. It does, again, have these extra bits on the side. We can see some of the detail there, the handlebars, and probably would be some of the gauges in this translucent plastic for the face shield. Altogether, not too bad, and it rolls back and forth, which is good. And in terms of the coloring, it's more or less what we'd expect Arcee to look like from Transformers Prime. So enough of that kind of thing. Let's see if we can transform this thing. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop off the arm blades there a little bit. Take them off. There we go. Set those aside. We'll need those later. And again, I know I've mentioned this before, and although I have practiced this a couple times, really my method for transforming Transformers is just to kind of pull apart until I get somewhere and see what I can do after that. I don't really like using the destructions, but anyway, so we've pulled the legs down, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold the wheels up and put the foot down and put these in there. There we go, I think. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing with the other leg. And yes, if this does seem harder for the prof right now, that's because it is harder. Anyways, let's see if we can put that down. There we go. Excellent. Oh, and there's one thing I did want to point out. Sorry, I forgot before. We do have this kickstand here, which we could have used to try to stand up Arcee, I think, if we took off the blades. But the blades, you don't really need the kickstand, but I'm guessing if you took the blades off, you can use the kickstand to keep the motorcycle standing up. At any rate. So there, we've pretty much got Arcee's lower half. You can flip that around. And we're just about halfway there. Now the arms, we're just going to pull apart. And we're going to fold these out. Unfold these, I guess, maybe. Because they're folded before. There we go. We can adjust the arms a little bit. There we go. We can pull the shoulders down. These arm plates, I don't remember exactly how they're supposed to go, so we're going to leave them like that for now. We're going to pull everything back down there, and then we can separate this. We can fold it. There we go. Pull that. Flip that down. We can pull it, the head. There we go. We can put that down. It doesn't seem to snap into place, which is actually kind of bothersome. I don't know if it's supposed to or not. I've never been able to, so I'm going to assume it doesn't do that. We can fold down that kind of upper chest piece, and then we can put the wheel down, turn this around. Oops. There we go, and fold that down into place. And there, whoops, I think we have our Arcee. Sweet, there we go. I think I've got that right. To be honest, I'm not too sure right now. So, there we have our Arcee, and again, in terms of our colors, it's pretty close. Although, if we look close at the head, and I think that's where we really need to have our most attention. On the show, she does have a little bit of pink on her head, and I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up. But I think it's on here, it's supposed to be that kind of pinkish color, but it really turns out to be a little bit just silver. It doesn't look very pink to me. I guess it's because she's supposed to be, you know, female, and thus females wear pink or some kind of crap like that. At any rate, we've got that, and that's excellent. Her face, you know what, it's got some detail. You can see the little smirk there that Arcee is known for because she's kind of the lancer of the group. She mouths off and says a lot of smart-ass remarks, which a lot of them do, actually, now that I think about it. They're all pretty good at the wise-ass kind of department, which maybe that's the reason I like the show so much, because everybody's kind of a wise-ass. But it looks pretty good, and the back of her head, we've got the translucent plastic, so if I grabbed a flashlight, we could shine it back here and her eyes would light up, but we're not going to do that right now. In terms of the rest of her color scheme, you know what? It's more or less what we'd expect from Arcee. We've got some black. Now, I think she has more gray tones in the show. But I think we'll let that go. For now, anyway. And we can see we've got the black and obviously the blue from the motorcycle. And really the only red bit, the part that stands out the most, is the Autobot emblem. That's kind of like it's on her collar, which is kind of cool. That looks alright. How well we can see that there. Altogether, not too bad. Actually, the colors are pretty good for this figure. And while we're talking about the colors, and that's, I think, really what does it. This figure really, before we even get into the articulation, really reminds me of something else. Even from the first couple of episodes I watched this, I sat and went, you know, this character reminds me of someone else. It reminds me of someone else, and I could not place it. And then I don't know how it came to me, but there is an anime series from the 80s. It's pretty old now, so if you don't know what it is, that's okay. I'll let it go this time. This time. Because maybe not next time. There's a show called Bubblegum Crisis. There it is, Bubblegum Crisis. And here we got episodes 4, 5, and 6 from the OVA, OAV, I can't remember. Anyways, one of the DVDs. And it's a group called the Night Sabers, and they blow shit up and all sorts of kind of animated Japanese goodness. But if we look on the back, and I'll adjust my camera a little bit, there's this one character, and her name is Priscilla Azagari, I think. My memory's getting a little fuzzy right now, but you see her colors there? It's kind of lots of bluish with some silver here and there, and even like it looks very similar to our friend Arcee, or our friend Arcee looks very similar. Even how she's got the gray right down the middle of her chest piece here, with the blue on the sides. And then again, you look at Pris, and she's got the same thing, and she's got a little bit of pink up here on the sides of her head. She's got the big antenna spars that Arcee doesn't have. But can you see that? And Pris is a badass, mouthy biker chick who rides a blue motor... No, does she ride a red motorcycle? I think she rides a red motorcycle, but she has a Moto Slave, which is a motorcycle that turns kind of into a robot. That's blue. I'm wondering if the people who designed Arcee enjoyed watching Bubblegum Crisis. Because Arcee looks a lot like Pris, who was the main protagonist from this show. Or the character that was featured the most. And that's Nene. And she's not related to this at all. But anyways, she's a Night Saber. So anyways, that's my little rant about Bubblegum Crisis. By the way, your homework is to go watch that. Bubblegum Crisis is awesome. The first one, the second one, the remake sucked ass. If you find one from, I think it's the late 90s or the early 2000s, stay away from it. Because it sucks donkey balls. The first one is good. And it's, you know, pure 80s kind of stuff. If you're a fan of the 80s, that'll be right there for you. Plus, you can look for Panthro from Thundercats. Anyways, sorry, that's my little rant about Bubblegum Crisis, and now I'm thinking I need to watch that.
Back on topic, dear.
Topics are for sissies! Sorry, back on topic. So we've got Arcee here. And I guess we talked about the colors a little bit, so we should talk about the articulation. Her head moves around a fair bit. It's on a ball joint, so we can move it up and down a little bit. Rotate around, which is good. The shoulders move all the way around. It's on a ball joint as well, so we can move up a little bit. And the shoulders actually have a separate joint, which can move up and down, so we can make it look like she's got a dislocated shoulder. I don't know if Autobots get dislocated shoulders, but we can do that if we want. We can bend here at the elbow. It's got two joints. It's part of her transformation. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a rotation here up the upper arm, which is nice. And her wrist has a joint that goes back and forth. We can rotate a little bit here at the hips. Wah! There we go. At the waist, I'm sorry. And the hips, they're on a ball joint as well, so they can go straight out and backwards and forwards, which is good because Arcee on the show does all sorts of badass kicks to the face and stuff. I'm going to have to get an arachnid so I can have Arcee kick her ass. We do have a separate joint here at the top of the thigh, so we can rotate around, and we can bend the knee pretty far back, which is nice. And then the foot, it does move a little bit as part of the transformation, and look at those boots, which I guess is the stereotypical, I guess they're getting to the chick thing, because, you know, the heel and the pointy toes and stuff. And even female robots have hooker boots, apparently. At any rate. So that's articulation, and again, it's not too bad. It gives us a fair bit of movement. Now, we had the arm blades before, and those are, well, I guess they're her main melee weapon from the show. She has the hands that transform into some kind of blasters, which obviously these are not going to do, and they didn't include them in any fashion with the figure, but we have the arm blades. And what we can do is we have that peg here. Can we see it? That one? And what we can do is we can attach that to her forearm, which I find very difficult. Even when I haven't been under the influence, I find it a little bit tough, but we can put that on there. And I'm thinking I'm putting it on the right way. There we go. Well, that one wasn't too bad. I'm a liar. Figures the left side was harder. Goddamn southpaws. Oh, wait. Anyways, we can put them on there so she can shred some Decepticons, which is excellent. Even though they seem a little bit bigger than the way they are in the show, and again, I think the reason for that is that they form kind of part of her motorcycle mode to hide some of the robot bits, which I think is why they have them that large, but they're still not too bad. So, just some general thoughts on the figure, because I've kind of showed most of the details. You know what, it's not too bad. Some of the things I dislike, we have the big shoulder plates here, which help, again, cover some of the robot bits when she's in motorcycle form, and I tend to just leave it over the arm. We could try to push it back a little bit more to expose more of the arm, but it interferes with her ability to move it, so I just leave it down a little bit. Same with this side. And she's got a little bit of backpack. It's that extra wheel, or the front wheel, plus the windshield. I guess they didn't know where else to put it. Now, whether or not she has this backpack on the show, I really can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a clip somewhere that would show me, but I don't think so. But, you know, it is pretty close to the show, all things considered. It just has a couple of extra bits, and again, a backpack isn't too bad, and it doesn't weigh her down too much. And the figure has some decent articulation, partly from the transformation that we need, and then partly just, you know, like they didn't need to use the ball joints here, but they're pretty nice. And we can put her in some dynamic poses, which is also excellent. Look like she's ready to scrap Arachnid or Starscream. I guess, whoa, those are the two Decepticons she really has Zen for kicking the shit out of, which is, I guess, okay. I would kick the shit out of Starscream too if I ever ran into him. Well, you know, assuming I was a Transformer and could kick his ass. If not, probably not so much. Although he got his ass kicked by Mech, so I don't know how much I think of him in terms of a threat right now. Sorry, ranting a little bit too much about the show. Anyways, I think that's our look at Transform. Oh, I gotta do a grade. We have to give this figure a grade. And you know what? I do like it. It's, very, very close to the show. Again, I think the arm blades are a little too big, and she does have a little bit of backpack. But altogether, the figure's not bad. It really captures the personality of the character from the show. She's very, very close. I mean, it's hard to get a figure that's going to exactly resemble the character from the cartoon. You know, they don't have the kind of restrictions that obviously the designer of the toy does. So you have to give them a little bit of leeway. But if I was to give this figure a grade, I think Arcee here gets, you know what, a B+. Not quite in the A level, and it's just because I don't like the arm blades too much, and the backpack is mildly annoying. But otherwise, it's a very good figure. I think if you're collecting the characters from Transformers Prime, and that's really all I think I'm going to do. I'm not going to buy all the different versions of Arcee. I just really just want one to have, you know, all the characters from the show. I think she'd make a decent addition to your collection if you can find them. And actually, I've been checking my Toys R Us lately, and there are tons of them. So you shouldn't have a problem. So I think that's our look at Transformers Prime, first edition Arcee. Thank you very much, and class is dismissed.